Welcome to English for You. I'm Kat.
I'm Seb. And this is English for You.
This is English for You. It is English for You. Yes, it is. We already said that.
Yes, we did.
Today we are talking about a book.
We are. It's our literature article. And this one is quite close to home, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Because it's about a young gay girl. And you and I are also both happen to be gay. Not together, because that wouldn't be gay then. That wouldn't be gay. Yes. That would be straight.
That would be straight. We'll get on to the meaning of straight later on. But yeah, so it is a little bit close to home. We'll get into that a little bit later on because but it is a coming of age novel.
Yeah, it is.
So why don't we talk a little bit about that? What do we mean by coming of age?
Right, so it's a coming of age novel, which means that it's kind of about a young person. Like, this is a young girl. I think it starts when she's 12. And she is, growing up and kind of discovering who she is, what she's like, what are her ideas about life, and what does she believe in.
Right, and this isn't because it's not because she's gay. Yeah. It's just because she's, a teen, a young person.
And all young people are going through that process.
Everybody goes through this. They come of age. They become adults. They become fully formed people.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are fully formed people. You just grow up. Okay.
Yeah, you start to have your own ideas, and you're not quite so influenced by people outside of you, like your parents or your friends or something like that. You start to get your own identity, your own personality.
It's a growing up book, basically. Anyway, let's stop yammering on about what coming of age is, and let's get started with the story.
All right, I'm excited to see it.
Reading. The Miseducation of Cameron Post. Like many kids in Miles City, Montana, U.S., Cameron Post is a bit of a handful. She's outdoorsy, energetic, and always pulling stunts when the adults aren't looking. However, when she's 12 years old, Cameron experiences two things that will shape her teenage years. She shares her first kiss with another girl, and her parents are killed in a car crash. Following her loss, Cameron is taken in by her well-meaning grandmother and highly religious Aunt Ruth. At first, she believes her parents' deaths were caused by her kiss, and she wishes that it had never happened. In time, though, she begins to accept her sexuality. A few years later, Aunt Ruth begins attending a new church, Gates of Praise, and makes Cameron go with her. It's there that Cameron meets Coley, an all-American girl from a successful family. They start as friends, but when they kiss one evening, their friendship turns into something more. They date in secret until one evening, Coley's brother, Ty, almost sees them. While Cameron thinks it doesn't matter, Coley feels great shame about almost being caught. Later, Ty persuades Coley to confess to Gates of Praise's Pastor Crawford.
Okay, so our story begins by telling us where all of this is taking place. Like many kids in Miles City, Montana, US, Cameron Post is a bit of a handful. Okay, so she's a bit of a handful. When someone is a bit of a handful, they're just kind of a little bit of trouble, they're kind of always running around, getting into all kinds of scrapes.
Getting into mischief.
Difficult to handle. So you could say that if there is a kid in your classroom who's kind of always annoying the teacher, then you could say they're a bit of a handful.
The one who the teacher is always saying their name in Seb, like that voice.
Exactly. But I was never a bit of a handful.
Oh, I was sometimes, and sometimes I was very guai. But anyway, so the article, it actually takes place in Montana, which is next to my home state. So
interesting.
The place where she is growing up and the place where I grew up are kind of close together and similar environment. But anyway, what's Cameron like? Well, she's outdoorsy. energetic, and always pulling stunts when the adults aren't looking. So she likes to be outside, it seems like. And she's also energetic, which is this great word that's our first word today. It's an adjective that means somebody who's energetic has a lot of energy. And of course, most kids and teenagers do. So Cameron is probably very active. She likes to talk to people. She likes to run around and, you know, do crazy stuff. She likes to express her feelings in really big ways, try new things, go new places, explore. She has a lot of life in her, and it makes her energetic. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, this is the energy that we talk about in, like, people. We don't use this to talk about making energy for, like, electricity or gas or et cetera like that. Like, you can't, what would it be? Like, you can't say a factory is energetic, unless you're talking about the people working there.
It would be a bit weird. Oh, yes, they could be energetic if they really like their job and they're kind of running around.
I think of Santa's elves.
Exactly, like Santa's elves, basically.
They're very energetic. They love making toys.
His workshop is not energetic. His elves are.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. There we go.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's also a verb, energize, which means to give somebody energy. So like if you want to get energized in the morning, you could drink some coffee. I get energized when I exercise, that sort of thing.
For me, it's always the coffee. Always the coffee.
Or, whatever your morning drink is. Anyway, an example sentence for energetic might be, the energetic young dog ran around in the park for several hours before he got tired and took a nap.
Oh.
That's cute.
Okay, so we've got one other word there, stunt, as well. So this is also an important part of Cameron's personality. Stunt is a noun, and normally a stunt is something dangerous and often impressive that people do to entertain people. When we say someone pulls a stunt, normally we're talking a bit more generally than that. We're just saying that someone is doing something stupid to seem impressive.
Yeah, like watch me jump off the top of this car.
Exactly, or watch me grab onto the back of this truck while I'm on my skateboard. Those are all, you know, those kind of dumb videos you see on TikTok. I was about to say Vine, that's dead now. But yes,
Vine.
TikTok, a lot of TikTok, kind of that stuff. So Cameron, in the book, she jumps off tall haystacks. She steals something from a store at the beginning of the book to look cool. These are all, you know, dumb stunts. She is pulling stunts.
Right.
However, when she's 12 years old, Cameron experiences two things that will shape her teenage years.
That's a very important age for the rest of your teenage years. And it sounds like these two things are also really, really important to her. So she shares her first kiss with another girl, and her parents are killed in a car crash. So one of those things is quite good for her, and one of those things is really, really bad. So this will affect not only the rest of her teenagerhood, but the rest of her life.
Exactly.
So we're going to learn what is a crash. Let's go to that. All right, when we talk about a crash, this could be a noun or a verb. In the article, it's talking about a noun. A crash is an accident where something that is moving fast, like a car, a plane, a bike, a motorcycle, or even a person, runs into something and it gets badly damaged or even destroyed. So in crashes, in car crashes and plane crashes, people often get hurt or even get killed. But if the car was moving slowly and there wasn't much damage, we usually just say the car got in an accident, or something called a fender bender, which is where there's a tiny bit of damage on the car. It's kind of easy to fix and nobody's actually hurt. That's not a crash. A crash usually means there's a lot of damage or a lot of danger. So we use as a verb also when we say somebody crashes into something, or something crashes into something. Like an example sentence for the noun might be, the pilot was killed in the plane crash, but everyone else survived. For the verb, you might say, the car crashed into a tree and the engine caught fire. It's very sad.
It is very sad.
And I believe Cameron's parents, their car crashes into a lake. Right?
It does. It does, into the lake. So following her loss, Cameron is taken in by her well-meaning grandmother and highly religious Aunt Ruth. Okay, so just remember that well-meaning just means that somebody has good intentions, that they are a nice person, but they might make, you know, behave a bit weirdly or make mistakes sometimes, but they want the best for you.
So what does it mean when they say she was taken in? Now, when you take somebody in, or means you take them into your home and you start taking care of them as your child, or or as someone you'll care for until they're ready to be on their own. You could also take in somebody older, like who is not able to live on their own anymore.
Right.
It's kind of like adopt, but it's not always in a legal sense. So they didn't become her parents, but they are taking care of her.
Yes, she's living with them now.
Yes. So take somebody in also has a different meaning. It can also mean to fool somebody or trick them, like you took me in with that fake phone call. But here we're talking about like somebody taking care of somebody. So Cameron's grandmother and aunt start taking care of her. But it says her aunt is highly religious.
Right, yes, her aunt is highly religious. Now, yeah, this could be tricky. So religious is an adjective, and when someone is religious, they follow a religion like Christianity, Islam, Buddhism. So Christians, Muslims, Buddhists are all religious if they believe in a religion and they follow that religion. For some people, being religious is just about having a faith and trying to be a good person. So you don't have, being religious doesn't necessarily change your whole personality.
Right.
However, some people are highly religious.
Yeah, or devoutly religious.
Devoutly religious.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't always a bad thing, but when you're highly religious, this means that you care a lot about your religion and it influences most of your day-to-day life. So in this book's case, Cameron's aunt is highly religious.
Yeah,
she
she's
believes
Christian, right?
She's very Christian. And she believes that people must be a certain way or else they are evil.
And going to hell.
And going to hell. So we'll find more about this later on. I can actually think of some people in my life who have been highly religious and haven't been this way. So it's not always the case, but we'll see that this does become a problem. First though, let's look at an example sentence. Ryan is religious and he goes to church every Sunday.
Yeah, that's typically what religious people do.
That's what they do. Yes.
Go to church or go to temple or go to synagogue or wherever you go.
Exactly.
All right. So yeah, she's moved in with her aunt and her grandmother. Her parents are gone. She's had a first kiss with a girl. At first, she believes her parents' deaths were caused by her kiss. And she wishes that it had never happened. So she feels a lot of guilt, it seems like.
Yes, that is one emotion that you definitely could go through when you're in this kind of situation. Like, did I do something?
Yeah, was it my fault?
Was it my fault?
Yeah.
And I wish that I had not done something. That's actually our grammar point for today. Wish that and the past perfect. So you already know that we can use wish to talk about our hopes for the future, as in, I wish I become famous one day. However, we can also use it to talk about the past. So, for example, did you ever think back to something you did? Maybe you had a fight with a friend, for example, and wished that things could have been different. Maybe you could have been nicer. That's what this structure is for. We're thinking about what we did and what we could have done. So when talking about past wishes, we follow wish or wish that with the past perfect, which remember is had and the participle form. So I wish I had played soccer, for example. By putting wish with the past tense, we're showing that we didn't actually play soccer, but now we're thinking back to last Saturday and we wish we played soccer on that day.
Yep.
Here's another example. I wish I had handed in my homework on time. Now I'm not going to get an A.
Oh,
yeah. Well,
that's
you've got to do the work.
Yeah, you got to be diligent.
Got to be diligent. Okay, so in time, though, she begins to accept her sexuality. And we're kind of jumping forward a little bit here.
Yeah,
we should say.
a few years.
It's a few years,
Yeah.
that she gets kind of to terms with that. She gets to understand herself a bit more.
Yeah, because when you're a kid, you can think some things that are not really logical, like thinking that your parents died because of you, when of course they didn't die because of you. But like when you're young, you might think that's true. As you grow older, you realize actually that's not true and it's not my fault. So you begin to accept things as they are. Yeah, so in time here is this phrase that we're using to talk about this. It means after some time has passed since the original thing happened. So since her parents died, in time, she has begun to accept herself. Usually this is used to talk about a change that happens slowly or after a long time. It could be anywhere from weeks to a number of years or even decades.
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay, so sexuality is a noun. It's a very important word for this story, actually. Your sexuality is the things that attract you in a sexual way. It's your 形象. This can be what kind of people you think are attractive, but it can also be what sex or gender you are attracted to. So this is not just for people who are gay, this is for everybody. We all have a sexuality. For this reason, we have words like homosexuality, which is 同性恋. We have bisexuality, 双性恋, and heterosexuality, 异性恋. So we're just talking about what kinds of people you're attracted to and your likes.
So yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of sexualities, and these are not the only three.
Yeah, there's loads.
So many. Yeah. Anyway.
We could do an episode on that.
Oh, we absolutely could. You know, talk about
could.
pansexual, asexual, demisexual. There's so many. All right. But anyway, we're talking about a homosexual person, which is Cameron. So she's accepting her sexuality. A few years later, Aunt Ruth begins attending a new church, Gates of Praise, and makes Cameron go with her. Of course she would.
Yes. Because she is highly religious. And it seems like it's not all bad for Cameron when she goes there at first, because it's there that Cameron meets Coley, an all-American girl from a successful family.
So all-American here would mean, like, you know, she's got the typical things that everybody likes in an American girl. Like, she's very wholesome, she loves her country.
She's on the cheerleading squad.
Yeah, she probably listens to country music. She's really pretty, you know, all that sort of stuff. So they start as friends, but when they kiss one evening, their friendship turns into something more.
Right. When we say that a friendship turns into something more, we normally mean that people start to date or be romantic.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in the story. They date in secret until one evening, Coley's brother Ty almost sees them. Right, they're
or basically does see them.
He doesn't actually. They are intimate in I think Coley's apartment or her brother's apartment, and she's locked the door, and he tries to get in. And they kind of get themselves sorted and open it, but it's very shocking because until then they've kept everything in secret, which is our next phrase.
Yeah, in secret means you're doing something without telling anyone. So Ty didn't know. They were trying to hide it from people, not just him, but everybody. Because in these days, I think it was like the 1980s when this story is set, it was not acceptable for people of the same gender to date. So they didn't want people to know they were doing this because people will judge them, they might be kicked out of their houses, they might lose friends. Yeah.
Exactly, and their families as well. So the story goes on. While Cameron thinks it doesn't matter, Coley feels great shame about being caught. We should say almost being caught here. Yeah. So shame, that is our next vocab word. Shame is a noun, and shame is a feeling we get when we feel bad about something we've done. It could be that we've stolen something or been rude to someone, or we could incorrectly believe that we are, and we could incorrectly believe that we are bad people. And that's what's happening to Coley. She feels that what she did was bad, and now she feels bad because of it. So she feels shame. Now, shame can also be an adjective too. We can say that something is shameful, and that describes behavior that we think is bad and should make the other person who did it feel bad. So for example, I think your behavior last night was shameful. You made your mother cry. How could you do that?
How could you?
What a horrible thing for you to do. That's shameful. Anyway, let's get back to shame and look at an example sentence. Sarah the
shamer.
That was shameful. My pronunciation of that name was shameful.
That's all right.
Though Sarah forgave Simon for cheating on her, he still felt great shame for his actions.
I often think of the difference between shame and guilt. I think guilt has more to do with your personal feelings, while shame is more about what people expect from you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can shame someone.
Yeah.
You can make them feel shamed.
Maybe if, you know, people didn't think that having like a same-sex partner was bad, Coley wouldn't have felt anything. But because she knows that other people think it's bad, she feels ashamed.
Ashamed.
Yeah, shameful. Yeah, so later, Ty persuades Coley to confess to Gates of Praise's Pastor Crawford. So they're going to go to the pastor. Here we are using the word persuade. So Ty persuades Coley to do something. Persuade is a verb that means when you try and get someone to think the same way as you, agree with you, or do something you want. That means you're trying to persuade them. persuading somebody isn't an easy thing. It means it takes time or it takes work. We can't say this about somebody who already agrees with us. It means we have to make them agree. When we persuade them, though, we change their mind or change their actions by giving them reasons to do it. Like if I wanted to persuade Seb to tell me a secret. I wonder if I could. But it doesn't mean that you threaten somebody or hurt somebody. That's not persuading. That's something else called coercing. So if you force somebody to do something by threatening to hurt them, that's not persuasion. Persuasion is more soft, and it's usually done with words or with reasoning, not with force. So here's an example sentence. Jessica tried to persuade Aaron to go with her to the party, but he wouldn't do it no matter what she said.
Okay, so Ty persuades Coley to confess to Pastor Crawford. We'll get on to what pastor means in a second. But when we confess something to someone, we tell someone a bad secret about ourselves or something bad we've done or something bad we think we've done.
Or something secret.
Or something
like confess
secret.
Your love.
Yes, we'll get on to that in a second, actually. Coley thinks that having feelings for a girl is bad, so she confesses that to Pastor Crawford. She can't bear the guilt, she can't bear the shame, we should say. She can't bear the shame of what she's done. Yeah. So we can also confess our feelings for someone, as we just said. So Michael confessed his love for Dan.
Oh.
When we're saying this, we're not saying that the love is bad, but it has to be a secret, that Dan didn't know that Michael liked him.
Yeah.
So he tells him in the end. He confesses, or he gives a confession, which is the noun form of confess. So we've got an example sentence here. Andrew confessed that he had eaten all of Connie's birthday chocolates.
How dare he?
How could he do that? That is a shameful thing to do.
That is. Oh, so mean. Anyway, so who are we confessing to? Who is Coley confessing to?
The pastor.
The pastor, that's right. Do you call them pastors in England?
Well, not for me because I'm Catholic.
Well, for other churches.
Reverends, we call them reverends.
Okay.
In Christian Protestant churches in the UK, they call them reverends.
It's mostly the Anglican church, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think pastor is a little bit different because a pastor is the leader of a Christian church, but it's usually a newer kind of church, like Presbyterian, Methodist, or like churches that are more formed after like maybe the 19th or 18th century. Because older churches like the Catholic Church have the Pope, they have reverends or deacons or those kinds of, But pastors are kind of a more general leader title. This originally actually meant a person who took care of sheep in a field. But Christianity often talks about the people in a church as God's flock, which means God's group of sheep. To be
and God is the shepherd.
Yeah, to be taken care of. So the pastor is supposed to take care of them and guide them and teach them how to live in a godly way.
So she's going to confess all of this to, her spiritual guider, basically.
Yeah.
And that's going to change a lot of things in the story.
For sure, yeah, because like once it's out there, everybody's going to know, and who knows how people are going to react. So that's actually what we're going to see in day 2. But right now we're going to go to our For You chat and see what's up.
For You chat.
Okay, so our question for today is a lit question. We're just kind of reviewing some of the things that have happened with this one, I think. Cameron and Coley feel very different about being discovered by Ty. Why do you think this is?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to interpret some things here. Do you have any idea?
It could be that maybe they, like before Cameron moved in with her aunt and her grandmother, maybe her parents kind of taught her a different attitude. Or maybe it's like she's just less shy about who she is.
Right. I think environment is very important because we saw that Coley is an all-American girl.
Yeah,
and
which means her parents are probably very religious too.
Yeah, so she could be like that on her own, but it's more likely that her parents gave her these ideas of girls need to be like this, we have these expectations
date all like American boys.
And so I think that when she does something a bit different, she's going to have a lot more confusing feelings about it, you know?
Yeah, for
She's
sure.
not had that relationship with her family that she can say, listen, I like girls, or listen, I don't want to be a cheerleader, or just anything, you know? Like, I think they're going to react more.
So they probably have a lot of things they expect from her.
There's lots of other things too, though. It could be her relationship with her brother. She could know that her brother has certain feelings about gay people and he might be very angry about it.
Or her church.
Or her church as well. So you guys can kind of continue that discussion now. Just, you know, kind of untangle what you think could be the problem there.
Yeah.
And we will join you tomorrow when we're going to be talking about what happens next after this confession. So, for English for You, I'm Seb.
I'm Kat.
And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Miseducation of Cameron Post. Like many kids in Miles City, Montana, U.S., Cameron Post is a bit of a handful. She's outdoorsy, energetic, and always pulling stunts when the adults aren't looking. However, when she's 12 years old, Cameron experiences two things that will shape her teenage years. She shares her first kiss with another girl, and her parents are killed in a car crash. Following her loss, Cameron is taken in by her well-meaning grandmother and highly religious Aunt Ruth. At first, she believes her parents' deaths were caused by her kiss, and she wishes that it had never happened. In time, though, she begins to accept her sexuality. A few years later, Aunt Ruth begins attending a new church, Gates of Praise, and makes Cameron go with her. It's there that Cameron meets Coley, an all-American girl from a successful family. They start as friends, but when they kiss one evening, their friendship turns into something more. They date in secret until one evening, Coley's brother, Ty, almost sees them. While Cameron thinks it doesn't matter, Coley feels great shame about almost being caught. Later, Ty persuades Coley to confess to Gates of Praise's Pastor Crawford.
Vocabulary Review.
Energetic. Sheila is an energetic child who never stops running around and getting into trouble. Crash. Both cars were damaged in the crash, but luckily neither driver was hurt. Religious. My grandmother is deeply religious, and she prays every morning and night. Shame. Hilda feels a lot of shame after lying to her parents in order to get some extra money. Persuade. Kevin can't normally stay out late on school nights, but he persuaded his parents to let him go to the party. Confess. Zach felt terrible about stealing from the old lady, so he confessed his crime to the police.
智慧小补帖
Stunt. Sexuality. Pastor.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net